And then she was like, no, it's okay. You're just the kind of person who needs things told to him. And I said, I just said, are you fucking stupid? I said, yes, I'm the kind of person that if something's bothering you, I can't fucking guess because I'm not a fucking mind reader, you goon! And here we go. So, I'm actually in a pretty good mood. So I don't think this video is going to be as powerful as lectures of past, but today we're going to be discussing the 5 love languages, book number 6 of the university. Can you believe it? We're on the 6th book. I just completed this a couple days ago, and I have about, dude, it's like 15 pages of notes. 15 pages of notes for this one video. Now, am I gonna read it like this? Probably, but I thought I would start this university today with a story from a coworker. It just happened. So I was telling my lovely coworker, I told her that I was gonna give her this book after completing it. And it wasn't met with the giddiness and joy and appreciation and gratitude that one would expect from giving someone a lovely gift such as this. It was met with the response of this, and I quote, "How would my husband feel if I came home with this book from a male coworker, given to me from a male coworker?" And I paused for a moment, befuddled, and I asked myself, what is worse? I said, you showing in your actions that you're actively working on the betterment and growth of your relationship, or keeping it a secret that you are unhappy with the current state of it. Didn't have a response for me. And it was a very interesting question, I said, and then I thought afterwards when I went home. I said, I can't imagine being in a relationship with someone where I don't even have the courage to communicate that I want to make my relationship a 10 out of 10. They discuss this idea of a love tank in this book, making your love tank as filled as possible. On a scale of 1 to 10, how full is your love tank today? It's a 9, right? What can I do to make it a 10? But imagining I'm in a relationship where I can't even discuss the unhappiness about it, the contentment that I'm feeling, the resentment that I'm slowly starting to harbor for my partner, the drift that could be the potential to come, the divide that is going to be the inevitable. What does that end with, right? And if we don't have the courage to, imagine you're in a relationship as if you're in a boat, a little canoe, and each person has a paddle. And one person's trying to paddle, and the other person is paddling in the other direction. You go nowhere. I have a paddle, the other person's not paddling at all. You go in circles. I have a paddle and I'm gonna pretend like I don't want to paddle, and I'm gonna keep it a secret while I paddle. What the fuck? And so that comment was very exposing in terms of people's cowardice, to say it candidly, to invite just the discussion of betterment and growth and nourishment in the context of a relationship. If you don't feel comfortable or confident talking to your partner about improving your relationship, about improving yourself, about your goals, about your relationship goals, about your familial goals, who else do you have? If not them, then who? I've always wondered that. And it's always blown my mind when I meet people, men and women, who don't have the courage to tell their partner what they want. Why would you be in a relationship with someone in a state of fear of expression? Fear of communication with the one person that should make you feel most confident being yourself, most comfortable in your own skin, very effortless to love, happy to make you feel loved. If that's not the rhetoric, there's a deeper issue. Then discussing how it can fill, what kind of physical touch can I give you to fill your love tank, right? And I say that with some jest, but it's actually, scary is not even the word that I would use to describe it. Disheartening, ridiculous, silly, a joke. If you don't have the courage and confidence to communicate with your partner, you gotta grow some balls. What do you want me to say? That's ridiculous. So I say that to start this lecture, book number 6 of Ratlife University, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. That if in the context of this university, there's a global understanding that we have one life and we have one spin at this, one run, and we're not going to live our life in a perpetual state of regret, the wonder of what if, and we're going to have the courage to believe it's possible, the courage to pursue. 1 and 2. The courage doesn't mean you're not afraid, doesn't mean it's going to be not uncomfortable. You're going to be pushed outside your comfort zone to have these hard, candid conversations, yet crucial ones. And if we have that courage to pursue, courage to put an effort to our relationship, into our canoe, into our paddling, right? What is the result, dude? What better person do you become? A better wife, a better mother, a better husband, a better father, a better sibling, a better son, right? A better everything, a better coworker. If you focus on what you can do to improve the quality of your relationships, the quality of your life, by your actions, not by theirs. And that's such a recurring theme in this book, is the notion that not what they're doing, not what they're not doing, not what they're not saying, not demanding anything from them, but focusing on how I could be a better partner to them, right? And then it's having the courage to have these communications, right? These conversations. There was one thing in it where there was a guy and he was like, what if physical touch isn't my love language? And the first thought I had was David Goggins, where he was like, all right, so I need you to stand there. All right, take your hand, grab your balls. Once you found them, I need you to squeeze them. And I just like, that's the exact thought that I had reading that line. I was just like, I don't feel comfortable giving my partner physical touch. I was just like, what the fuck am I reading? I could understand that if giving your partner words of affirmation might be outside of your comfort zone because you were never given those in your entirety of your adolescence, right? If you were never given a single compliment, it might feel uncomfortable for you to give a compliment to somebody. But if you feel weird and uncomfortable about giving your partner, putting your hand on their shoulder, rubbing their back, doing anything, that's just like, what the hell are we talking about? So, courage. People in this book are recurring themes. They don't have the courage to communicate. They don't have the courage to touch their partner. And I laugh about it because I'm just like, yo, we got bigger problems than that, buddy. Come on, buddy. You got to do better than that. So, okay. So we can begin. I'm in such a good mood, dude. Today's Saturday, and I got to the gym. I worked out. I got so much rest because I was able to take 2 weeks off from work, exhausting all of my vacation days. And oh my gosh, it gave me nostalgia of what it was like to be an entrepreneur again. And I was like, oh my gosh, to have in the totality, in the course of this university, you're going to see me escape the rat life in real time. But to get a taste of that again, where you have complete autonomy of time, there's a dog barking outside, what's going on here, where you can do whatever you want. You can sleep in, you can take a nap midday, you can spend an hour meditating like I did several times, almost daily, and you can go tan on a Tuesday just because the sun's out. And I did all those things, and I was able to fill my cup so high that when you go back to the rat life, you're just like, yeah! But it's a means to an end, temporary means. And you got to understand that if you are going to escape your rat life, it's going to take everything that you have in the time that you have outside of your shit job. And so you work hard at your job, yes, sure, because how you do something is how you do everything, but it is so imperative that you work harder on yourself as in every waking moment that you have, it's in your development, it's in your physicality, it's in your mindset, it's in your focus, it's in the discipline, the daily disciplines that you're doing within your actions in every category of your life. To give yourself that window where you do not need revenue or you have enough saved up to cover overhead expenses for months to come. Once you have that window, then you can escape. So that is what I'm actively working on now as a consequence of my failures and mistakes with doing Rat Life in times past. So, to begin the lecture, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, the first idea they talk about is the idea of you speaking your partner's language is as important as if they're speaking another language. As in, if I understand American, right? I speak American, English, and they speak Chinese. It doesn't matter how much effort, how much action, how much above and beyond that they do in their language doesn't mean shit to me emotionally because I don't understand it. I don't feel any security in the love that they're trying to omit to me, that they're trying to express, because they're speaking a different language. I was gonna get real racist, but I'll pause on it. Those videos don't age well. I saw it's from The Rock, where he has a mic and he's in WWE. He's like, ting chong, you know? And then they cut to John Cena speaking like straight Mandarin, and he could speak it fluently. And I'm not gonna do that. But just imagine that your partner's speaking Chinese, right? They're giving you acts of service, which happened in this book. It's actually on one of my first pages of notes. And I didn't see it on the first page of notes, but it was in one of the pages of notes. One of the first. They give them nothing but acts of service. This guy to his wife mows the lawn, does the dishes, has the cooking ready, and is the provider in the relationship financially. He's doing all of these things. And his woman, and when I read this, I said, no way. And that's why it's important that I'm doing this lecture, because I could just list the 5 love languages, but that doesn't give you any of the gold that's found in the 20 plus years of marriage counseling that Dr. Gary Chapman did, and where he invited and shared stories such as this. And the story was, the woman said, and I thought the fucking audacity, she was just like, I just don't feel any love coming from him. And I couldn't believe it. I was in awe. I was job struck. I was like, he's doing fucking everything for you. And then he even said, the psychologist, he said, what does she do? and it was because her love language was quality time. And he was doing time and time. He was doing acts of service. He was speaking Chinese to her, to where she was like, yeah, it's good, it's nice, right, that he does these things, it's okay, it's great, but I just don't feel any love from him. And all it took was him stopping to do all of that other shit. Stop doing the dishes, don't need to do the dinner anymore, because what his was acts of service. He was, and we'll share it in this lecture, he was expressing his love language in the hopes that it would be reciprocated, something a lot of people genuinely do. And stop, maybe he still does mow the lawn, they didn't share that, but he was like, I'm just gonna spend 15 minutes uninterrupted with you and give you my complete focus and attention. And then they went 2 months later, they go on their second honeymoon to the Bahamas. All because he was speaking her love language of quality time with the dialect of quality conversation. So, very important that the analogy of Chinese versus English, that if they only speak Chinese, it doesn't matter how much passion, how much effort, how much specificity that they're putting in whatever they're trying to express to you, that is their expression of, hey, idiot, I love you, right? If you're giving them acts of service, and there's his words of affirmation. If you're giving them acts of service, and there's his quality time. If you're giving them acts of service or gifts, and there's this physical touch, it's not going to translate. You know what I'm saying? And then if theirs is whatever, and what's funny is most of the guys in here, it's a delusion. They're deluded that there's this physical touch just because they enjoy the sex part of the relationship. He's just like, and then they go through the 5 love language profile, and they're like, yours is words of affirmation. You just enjoy also getting laid. So settle down. But okay, so it doesn't matter how hard you try; they'll never understand, receive the love you're trying to communicate and give them. And love tank. This idea of a love tank, they talk about this in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by making emotional bank account deposits. And the way that you're doing this, particularly in the context of a relationship, is there is no scorekeeping. It's not a transaction. We're not doing business. We're not doing it with a future hope of return on investment. The return is the winning of the relationship. If you ask somebody a silly question like, who's winning in your marriage? You win that if one person is not winning, you're both losing, right? So the concept of making an emotional bank account deposit is predicated on the notion that you're not expecting them to do or give you anything. By the law of reciprocity, they'll want to. It's in the book that's going to be in a semester to come. It's called, it's either Influenced by Robert Cialdini or Persuasion, and they discuss I think it's Influenced by Robert Cialdini, and they discuss the law of reciprocity, that if you just give to other people, they're more inclined, they feel a sense of obligation to give back to you. And what's interesting, particularly in business relationships, that if you constantly prove that you give nothing but value, and then you charge for a product, then the ideology is, man, if I'm getting this much value for free, imagine what I would get in return, because everyone's in their own self-interest, just as humans. If I give this person $10 or $100, I'm gonna get 1,000, of course. And so the law of reciprocity is undertoned in that if I just give, eventually the other person will want to give back in some facet. So making an emotional bank deposit is important within the context of your relationship. And again, I want to stress it because he stresses it in this book. It's not with the expectation of return. It's not, I'm going to give to you and hope I'm getting a blowjob later, or hope I'm getting the dishes done, or hope I'm getting this. I've seen people do that in relationships, and that's just called manipulation. It's where you're doing something with the expectation that you're getting something from it. How about instead, what you're getting out of it is a love tank-filled partner, is getting your wife to feel loved, to get to feel pleased and pleasure, to get to feel as euphoric, ecstatic as possible. I said it in a prior lecture. I said, why would you choose to have a partner that doesn't seek to give you the maximum serenity, the maximum euphoria, the maximum ecstasy and pleasure? If you're not getting that from them, who would you be getting that from in this one life that you have, right? If not them, then who? It's the hypothetical that I posed in a previous video. And I think it's very important to reiterate. If you aren't seeking to give your partner in this one life that you have together the maximum experience, the maximum pleasure, the maximum euphoria, I don't understand. And I don't understand why you would want to be with someone who that wasn't their goal, to make you feel your absolute best in every regard, right? And a lot of it comes from two things. I think it's selfishness. We tend to be more just in our own self-interest, particularly when the second thing happens, which is the law of familiarity, which always happens in relationships. And Tony Robbins said this in many seminars. He said, it doesn't matter if it's been 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, or 7 years. At some point, you're going to take your partner for granted even a little bit due to the law of familiarity. And the things that you once did for them, because think about it, in the courting process, you would have done anything for this person, anything to win the affection, the time, the attention, the passion, the pleasure from this one person. You would have done anything. You think about it. When you're courting and you're dating, you're showing up your best. You're looking your sharpest. You're dressing amazing. You smell great. You take care of your groom. You take care of your nails. You take care of everything because you want to look your absolute best, right? When guys become single, they're going to the gym every day. They're training hard. They get into the best shape of their life. Why? Because they're trying to attract a mate. And so what happens is in a relationship, and women do this very treacherously, when the woman gets the guy that they want, they, by their own actions, will make the guy become someone that they resent. And they'll make him fat, they'll make him soft, they'll make him complacent to where they're no longer attracted to them, because what they do is they turn the guy into a person that other women don't want, but then they in turn don't want them. So it's very important as that masculine leader and role model in the relationship that you turn over on a chick if she pulls that shit on you. Because she's going to turn you into the very guy that you don't want to be, number one, but away from the very guy that it took for you to win her attention. And I know I butchered that, so let me say it one more time. The guy that it took you to earn her attention, sharp, on his finances, on his physicality, on his network, on his status, on his purpose. And she pulls you away from that, you're going to become a person, the very person that she was not attracted to, right? So it's very important that you stay eyes on the prize, focused on your purpose. Don't let these these ladies of the streets pull you away from that. But very important though, to go back to the courtship, think about it. This goes for guys or girls, is when you're courting someone, you show up your best. You speak with courtesy, you speak with kindness, you speak with respect, you speak with poise, you're very generous, you're very selfless, you're very eager to look for opportunities to give, to serve everything to your partner, right? In the absence of a pedestal, not to pedestal them, not to this person is better than me. It's, I would do anything for this person. I would do anything to call this woman mine. And then what happens? You get them, then at some point you take them for granted. There's a really good idea that you should keep in the forefront of your mind, that the things that you're happy for now, right? The things that you take for granted now were once a dream. You once were in tears, dreaming of things you now take for granted. It's a very, very interesting thought that I would encourage you to consider and reflect on, because I've always asked myself of this when I was younger. I said, why is it so easy to harbor gratitude in hindsight, but it's so hard to harbor gratitude in presence, in the moment? And dude, hindsight is 20/20, but a lot of people they constantly focus on the lack. They focus on what's missing. Modern dating, man, it's the FOMO. It's constantly looking for the greener grass, for what am I missing out? What does this person have? This person have? This person have? I know countless women, dude, who are going through that epiphany phase. And if they haven't reached it yet, they're on their way. And where they're constantly, through the exacerbation of social media, looking for greener grass, looking for a higher status, looking for better financially, better physicality, better everything. And next, onto the next, onto the next, onto the next, onto the next, until they're in now their 30s and their biological clock is ticking. And they're just like, oh wait, now I want to settle down. But the same people who they're now hoping to entertain, they're looking for the person 10 years younger than them. And that's who they're now competing against. And so it's, in modern dating, the casualty, I was discussing this with a coworker, I said everyone loses. The young men lose because the women don't want them, because they don't have the status, they don't have the finances, they don't have the network, they don't have anything. As a man, you build your value, you're given nothing. As a woman, you're given everything. You don't have to do anything and you have all your value. Your job as a woman is solely to preserve your value. That's it. And so you have women who have greater egos, greater narcissism that have ever existed in the history of times, because they have infinite access. And it's a global marketplace now. As in, your grandparents had to be a quarter of the man that you have to be today to get a woman who is 10 times better than the women you're trying to acquire today, trying to pursue today. And these egos that are as a result of an 18, 19, 20-year-old who hasn't done a fucking thing, getting more likes, more matches, more attentions than monarchs, than of royalty of 200 years ago. Do you know what I'm saying? Never in the history, this is unprecedented since the history of time. And so the casualty is you have these people milking the attention train, right? And they're gonna hit this wall where they're now competing against their 10-year-old self because they're constantly looking for the greener grass, greener grass, greener grass. Number two are the women who pursue the career. Huge fucking mistake, because then what happens is, again, they hit the wall, they realize, oh wait, my career doesn't mean shit, no guy gives a fuck about my job, and then it's very unfortunate, Iman Gadzhi said this in a video, it's very unfortunate that we live in a world where the aspiration to be a great mother or a great housewife is frowned upon, it's not celebrated. But being an OnlyFans person is celebrated, not tolerated, celebrated in the world that we live in today. It's fucking disgusting and ridiculous. But the idea of women aspiring to be great wives, great mothers, and men, great providers, great leaders, great masculine leaders in terms of their leadership, in terms of their just everything, man. It's such a lost sentiment. And it's quite unfortunate because, like I said, the casualty is everyone. As in, guys lose in their 20s. Women get wrecked the hardest because they'll either end up as single mothers or single with no children, which sucks so much. It sucks so much that when you get bought the lie of pursuing your career. I know we're kind of getting off topic from the 5 love languages, but it's very important because even if one young woman listens to this video and it dawns on her like, oh shit, I had 10 years to secure my long-term mate. Or a guy watching this saying, why am I not getting any likes? Why am I not getting any matches? Not understanding that their value comes later. And the casualty is the guy at time's end will be able to choose their partner. The guy gets all the options at the end. They get to choose what woman they want to be their wife, what woman they want to raise their kids. The woman, all she had to do was preserve her value. And so the older that the woman gets, the more sexual history that she has, the more trauma she has, the more everything that she has. And so why would the guy choose the older woman or the single mother when he could have the 20-year-old, 21-year-old? To the same point, why would the woman choose the broke guy when she could have the 7-figure net worth guy like that? The one that's sliding into her DMs right now that you don't know that you're competing against. And so due to social media, due to the exacerbation of the dating apps, due to the infinite access, infinite options, no one's satisfied, constant greener grass, dude, the casualty is everyone. Everyone loses. It's modern dating in the West sucks because they do not raise women like they do in other countries outside of Western civilization. If you go to Eastern Europe, if you go to the Midwest in the United States, if you go to South America, if you go to the Middle East, women are raised to be great wives, to be great mothers, period. Men are raised to be proper men. Try finding a masculine man, dude, in the fucking West. It is a joke. Men don't have the courage to just be honest. I was on a Zoom with a couple professors who were getting uncomfortable about me talking about the idea that there's two genders. The idea that, the fuck are we talking about with the fear of saying there's two genders, the fear of saying shut the fuck up with your pronouns, the fear of saying get this LGBTQ flag shit the fuck out of the classroom with the kids. It's just, we live in a world of just sheer cowardice. And it's being purported by this garbage of females to pursue their career. I had the misfortune of watching the fucking Barbie movie. And I was like, you are raising a generation of women who are gonna end up single and childless from consuming this fucking garbage. This boss babe bullshit culture, I don't need no man. It's just, it's so fucking disheartening. And I don't mean to get on such a negative point, but it's so important to drive that home because I see it so many times with men who, in terms of words of affirmation, we had this great thing at my work where we went around talking about our love languages. It was such a great exercise because you learn what people's are. 90% of the men, including mine, was words of affirmation because men never get complimented. Men never get told what a great job they're doing in specificity. If you give a guy a compliment, he remembers that for a year. Women with 100 DMs get told they're beautiful every fucking day. It is your words of affirmation to her is so hollow, which is quite unfortunate because even if it's a sincere compliment, sincere recognition, it will go, just like speaking a different language, completely emotionless, completely disregarded. And like I said, the world of ego, the world of narcissism, the world of, it's so disheartening. And because I'm seeing it in real time. So the idea of making those emotional bank account deposits for the love tank, dude, it's very, very important. But I feel like we've covered this one page, 30 minutes, and I got 10 to go. It's gonna be a long video. Homework I put. Oh, well, actually this is important because it was words of affirmation. The guy said when his love language was words of affirmation, and the woman wasn't speaking his love language, never expressed appreciation, right? Which, if you want to be a great wife, a great girlfriend, give your guy a fucking compliment because no one is giving it to him, and the weight of someone you love means more than anything else. And so the guy said this after she just began to compliment him. She actually made me feel like a man again. When I read that, I believed it. I believed it wholeheartedly because the number one rhetoric of men today, I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel respected. Because put yourself in the position of the average man, where you have a mortgage, you have a wife, you have kids. You work your ass off to provide for them, and then you come home to get yelled at, to get nagged, to get publicly disrespected when you go out with them, to get not only you to be the man in the relationship, but then to also presume all of the feminine roles and duties. And I'm going to call a spade in Ratlife University in terms of masculine duties and feminine duties. And I understand that the man can participate in things, but there are things that women are naturally better at and things that men are naturally better at. And I think that regardless of your love language, I think you abiding by what should be your duty and responsibility within the confines of your relationship is imperative for the happiness and just thriving fruit of your relationship. And the modern man comes home and has to be the husband and has to be the wife to his family. And then he doesn't get a single word of appreciation or gratitude expressed to him for all that he's fucking doing. And then these women who hold these cuck men hostage of, I'm gonna divorce you, I'm going to take the house, I'm going to take custody of the kids. And as that man, you cannot tolerate that shit. But you didn't expect we were going to be having these discussions in this lecture, I'm sure. But no bullshit, dude. As the guy, the way that you don't let frame slide is I learned this from Andrew Tate, he put it very well. He said, you don't let it get broken in the first place. And the issue with men and with women in the relationships is the man will tolerate disrespect. When you tolerate something, you're conditioning, it's a teaching process. When I tolerate disrespect, I'm teaching that person that it is okay to disrespect me. Women cannot respect men who tolerate disrespect. And so if you allow that bullshit, and if you don't call that out from the jump, they will do it over and over and over, and then in time, you'll see that resentment towards you because you're not being a fucking man and calling that out. And don't get me wrong, it's always frustrated me, the notion of that whole thing. It's just like, why do you need to express disrespect in the first place? Because you weren't raised to be a good person. And I've seen that so many times with women who it's their little litmus test, is they'll do their bullshit on you to see what you're willing to tolerate, right? But women who are raised by good fathers, women who are raised amongst great brothers, is they don't do that garbage to begin with. But modern women, dude, they'll do the disrespect, they'll do all this bullshit. And what's interesting is most guys who have perspicacity, such as myself, we're not oblivious to it. We do an exercise in our head just of not understanding why you feel the need to do it. And then we'll disregard it because I know you've immediately put yourself into the non-long-term relationship category from your stupid actions. And then what happens is the relationship doesn't end up working out because they think you're a person who tolerates disrespect, but you know they're a person that you would have no interest, if they're going to do this garbage now, I have no interest to entertain this. Why? Let another guy tolerate this bullshit. You're not going to found it tolerated with me. But in terms of she made me feel like a man again, dude, I see so many guys who have the cowardice to not call out disrespect from their fucking partner. It's a joke. And you wonder why you're not having sex in your relationship. It's because the woman is like, please just be a fucking man. Please just call me out on this shit. I'm giving you so many opportunities to express your dominance and your masculinity with me not being allowed to do this garbage. But dude, you tolerate it and then she can't respect you. Women can't sleep with a guy they don't respect, and you're gonna see the relationship crumble. But if you go in there, not in a dickish way, not in a, in the anger and animosity, it's just like, no. This is the law, this is the authority, I am the leader in this relationship, this is what I'll tolerate, this is what I will not tolerate. And women can have their non-negotiables as well. It's called a relationship, right? You can have, you don't do this, you don't do this, but as men, as the masculine proponent that are trying to insist within this university it's that David Goggins thing, dude. You gotta find your balls, right? You gotta express what should be, and it's scary, dude, because in modern dating, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to crumble the household by making women masculine, by making men feminine, by having all these guys who will cuck out to their fucking women. It's just like, dude, roll over on them. Don't tolerate this disrespect. It's ridiculous. We gotta move on. But the point being, what you tolerate is how you teach the other person how to treat you. If you tolerate someone who's going to disrespect you, if you tolerate this, bro, you're asking for your relationship to be in dire straits, right? And it all comes down to courage, which I don't think it's courageous for you to just set the precedent that you're not going to tolerate disrespect, but to these fucking, I can't even classify them as men in modern world today, that if this is what you're going to choose to do, how can you expect your partner to respect you? Ask yourself that very candid, humbling question. If I'm going to tolerate disrespect from my partner, how do I expect her to respect me? Homework. Give a verbal, written, texted word of affirmation, okay? Give it. In audio, video, in person, a handwritten letter, paragraph of a text, specific praise and recognition, affirming your love to someone in your garden. Next, quality time. So words of affirmation, quality time are my top love languages. And the beauty about quality time is this idea that you're giving them your most valuable resource. Because if you give someone complete focus, complete attention, complete presence, you're giving them part of your life that you will never get back. And so I've seen it from women where they look at me with as if they just fucking orgasmed by presence. There is ecstasy in presence. If you just show up, if you're not on your phone, if you're not thinking about something else, if you're just there, then they can feel that. And you can feel it when they're not there. When they're thinking about another guy, or it's just, if you're in the moment, if you're present, if you're just pitching and catching, it's amazing. And that has to be my number one. When I travel, the number one thing that I cherish the most, and I remember I was in Brazil, gorgeous, Swiss. I was thinking about it because it was her skin tone, but it was in Brazil, and yeah, she knows who she is. I don't think she watches these videos. And had an amazing time together, but then we were talking, and it was so quality time, right, is a love language. Quality conversation is a dialect of that language, according to this book. And we were talking about just, it was invigorating conversation, right? And she was like, what time do you think it is? And I was like, I don't know, like midnight? And she was like, it's 6 a.m. next day. And I just said, oh shit. I said I should probably go. And it was just, it's fascinating how that is my favorite thing ever, is the quality time portion of that that story, where you can just have a conversation where the walls are down, where you've made mistakes, where you're in reflection, where you're sharing ideas, where you're learning from each other, where there's no ego, where you're offering a different perspective and a different lens, and the person is in a vulnerable state of reception. They're in a place to actually receive the information that you're sharing with them. And it is so beautiful because there's so much healing and growth that happens in those conversations. So for me in particular, quality time and words of affirmations are my number one. They were tied after I did the profile. Those are my top tied love languages. But like I said, you're giving them part of your life that you'll never get back. So when somebody's love language is quality time and you're on your fucking phone, dude, it's like a dagger. They're just like for example, when I'm at work and I have a conversation with a coworker who does not make eye contact with me, it's just, I feel like I'm talking to a fucking wall. And I'm like, no, I'll wait. I'm not, it's because, and again, and this is so important. What you tolerate is how you teach others how to treat you. Jordan Peterson, when he does his seminars and he does his lectures, and it's so cool, and I wanted to share this actually in this video because I just got it. I got both of his books. They will be in a future Ratlife University lecture. But before he speaks, he waits until the crowd is absolutely silent. Because, excuse me, if he talks while there's still murmurs, it sets the precedent that I'm okay, that I'll tolerate talking while I'm speaking. And so he sets the precedent that what you tolerate is how you teach other people how to treat you. And if you do it enough, they will conform their behavior to the precedent that you set, to your standard. And what's interesting when it comes to love, people think that there's no standard, right? And Andrew, again, he said an amazing thing. He said, if I love you, I hold you to a higher standard than anybody else in the way that you show up. Because you got to understand, as a man, your woman is a reflection of you. So, and it's a reflection, she's a reflection of your standard. So if you have a woman who's promiscuous, then that is your standard. That's your caliber of woman, right? If you have a woman who's not modest in the way she dresses, and she dresses provocatively, then that is your standard and your quality and caliber of woman. If you have a woman who speaks with so much profanity, that is your standard for your quality of woman. And so you have to understand that. And it's very important when you're choosing your partner or when you're conditioning their behavior. What you tolerate is how you teach others how to treat you. If you tolerate a woman running her mouth, if you tolerate a woman being promiscuous, then you're teaching her that you're okay with that. And so it's very, very interesting how you see the most well-behaved women as a reflection of great, honorable, respected men. And it's just, it's a beautiful harmony that's just natural. That if you're going to respect yourself, you're not going to tolerate disrespect from somebody else, right? And then that makes you worthy of respect. But if you're someone who's going to tolerate disrespect, and when I say a woman running her mouth, is when you go out in public and your partner publicly disrespects you in front of other people, it is the most emasculating thing I've ever seen. And you can see the pain in the man's eyes where he just feels so fucking defeated, because what can he do in public? You know what I'm saying? There's what he's gonna hit this person, is there gonna be an argument? He's not gonna do, he just has to be like, damn. And you gotta understand, it's not her fault, it's yours. This whole university is about ownership, personal agency, personal responsibility. You're tolerating that behavior. So again, it's not about making your partner this, make it you. And another thing that I learned is you can make a great woman. You can make a great woman, but it's from the precedent that you set from the beginning. If you teach and condition your partner to be disrespectful to you in any fashion, to give less than her best in effort, when you get into a relationship, there's a delusion that it means I can be on cruise control, I can be on easy mode. No, it's effort. Any coworker who I have, they're married 20 years, 40 years, 40 plus years. What's the recurring theme? Both people have to choose to try, have to choose to be giving their all in the effort to the growth and continuance of that relationship, of watering and serving the other person. But in modern dating and modern masculinity, or lack thereof, in modern femininity, or this woke feminist culture bullshit, is you see a severe self-interest, a severe lack of selflessness to the service and honor of your partner. And so to counteract that is be selfless, is make yourself a great quality person, worthy of respect. And the easiest way to be worthy of respect is to simply not tolerate disrespect. So homework, if your love language is quality time, make a list of creative ways you can spend quality time with your partner and do one of them each week. And then I put rock, sand, pebble analogy. So I learned this from a speaker. It was so well said. And you need to prioritize scheduling quality time, particularly if you're a busy person. And the more ambitious and hungry you are, the more busy your schedule will be. I don't have time is a bullshit line people will give you when you're not a priority. If you've ever been a guy, told a girl, I don't have time, no, she's not a priority. If you've been a girl, told a guy, I don't have time, no, he's not a priority. He's here on your roster. Because people fucking still do that garbage. But, oh my gosh. Anyways, rock, sand, pebble analogy is if you put the pebbles in first and then the sand in, you can't fit the rocks into a jar. You can't. And those are the big things. Those are the most important things in your life, such as filling your cup in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, winning the daily private victory, mental, physical, spiritual. The big things as in, hey, maybe your relationship, your marriage, the one person you're going to spend the most time with in your entire life, maybe scheduling quality time with them might be something that you should prioritize in your scheduling. If you put the big rock in the jar first, and then you put in the pebbles, and then you put in the sand, you can get the most, that's time management in a visual illustration. Then it all can fit if you put the big things in first, if you prioritize scheduling quality time with your partner. So you make the time. And then the dialect of the language is quality conversation. And I put Brazil example. Quality activities, and then I put me and dating, LOL, I don't care. And what I meant by that is because my love language is quality time, when I date, I don't give a shit what the activity is. And when I was younger, I didn't understand why women wouldn't enjoy that sentiment, which is like just the idea that I don't care about choosing whatever we do. We can do whatever you want to do. I just want to spend time with you, right? You're the only thing I care about spending time with. I don't give a shit what the activity is. We could sit on the sidewalk of a bus stop and I could have an ecstasy of a time, right? True story. And what I didn't understand when I was younger is the omission of decisiveness. And so when you don't decide what it is that you want to do, even if all you want to do is spend time with your person, that conveys and expresses to your partner, this is an undecisive man. And so I had to learn that again. When you're raised by a single mother, you learn all the masculine attributes yourself. And if you never learn them, then you end up being one of these feminine men. And so decisiveness is very important. Even if your love language like mine is quality time, then you don't give a shit what the activity is. Take the lead. Take ownership, take responsibility, be the man, lead the sail, grab the paddle and row. Okay, moving on. Receiving gifts. He was thinking of me. The gift is a symbol of that thought. There's a recurring theme, communication, in the book. So there's this story that's in the book, right, where the guy, it's actually in acts of service, not in gifts, but it resonates with this, and so I'll share it. And I think I shared it in the beginning of this lecture. But you give and give and give and give. So imagine your love language is receiving gifts, right? Or, yeah, receiving gifts. If I give you a ton of gifts, you're going to feel so loved, so loved. But imagine if that's what my love language is and it's not what yours is, and I just continue to give you gifts, give you gifts, give you gifts, then you're not going to feel any love. In fact, and I had this happen with a woman who I dated for a time, and she said to me something I'll never forget. She said, I think the reason that you give me gifts is because you think you're undeserving of my love, time, affection, and so you feel like you need to buy it, kind of a deal, because you're not worthy of it. And that was like a dagger, and I was just like, and it turned me for a 180, because it was humbling in the sense there was some plausibility to it, in the sense that we tend to give to people that we don't feel like we deserve, or that I have to give more because I'm not enough. And so I was like, that is very true. That's precedented. I said, but the reason that I'm doing the things that I was doing and the things that I was giving her was, she mentioned a story that her brother likes a certain chocolate, so I got her that chocolate for her brother. And then I gave her like roses. And so I was like, the things that I'm doing are just things that I would love to do with the person who I'm courting. You know what I mean? And it's interesting how in modern day dating, and any man watching this can agree, that when you're just a gentleman today, it's conflated with being a simp. Because the actions that you do today, such as writing someone a handwritten letter, such as buying someone flowers, these fucking women, dude, they're not the women of 30, 40 years ago. Because those women, those exact same sentiments would be received with flattery, with excitement, with joy, with enthusiasm, with, dude, wow, this person cares, he's a great guy, he's a keeper. Like, and I told this to my friend over WhatsApp audio message. I said, I refuse to conform to modern day dating and frame and all this bullshit. I said, I refuse. I said, I'm not going to apologize for doing what you should be doing as a man when you're courting a woman, just because it is not celebrated by these modern fucking women of today. In this modern society of this bullshit. I said, I'm still gonna be that guy who, and I even upgraded the game. So I bought sealing wax. I was so excited about this. So you write someone a handwritten letter, that's one thing. But imagine you have this, and dude, it's so cool. So I have these little cards, right? And then what you do is you take this wax, and then you put the wax in this little thing, this little spoon, that you put in here, actually right here on top. And then underneath you put one of these little candles. And it burns the wax that you then stamp, I don't know if you can see it, stamp to seal the letter. Dude, I'm doing the 1800s. Like, that is what, I don't know why people, why guys don't fucking put in effort anymore. And like, imagine you're the woman on the other end of that, receiving a handwritten letter with a wax stamp. I'm just like, that is the guy I am, and I'm not gonna fucking apologize for it, dude. I'm not gonna apologize putting effort into the woman who I'm courting. And I don't give a shit if by these stupid fucking people it gets conflated with being a simp or being anything. It's just like, those same women, dude, it's so disheartening. It's so disheartening that we live in a world where efforts, where quality time and presence, where everything, it's construed as if you're pedestaling them. If you put an effort into someone and you give them their time and attention, it comes off to these fucking modern day people as desperation. Do you know what's interesting? I get the fastest replies from millionaires, my mentors who I text. They respond to me fucking instantly. If you instantly text a woman because you're on your phone and you get a text from them, it's construed as desperate, as needy. And so you have to do all these stupid games where you wait hours, if not a day, and then you play the game on the other end where they'll wait multiple days to text you to gauge whether or not you're going to respond in a positive way. Again, you're playing this four-dimensional stupid chess because you're just like, this person can't respect someone who tolerates disrespect. And so what happens is women will say, the unhealthy toxic women, they'll say a stupid thing, and then all you have to do is do nothing, and then they'll correct their own behavior because you make them second guess their own actions. And so I've had this so many times where a woman will say something slick and then I won't respond to it, and then they'll double text themselves because they know they fucked up. And it's just all these stupid things that you have to do in modern day dating today, where it's just like, fuck all this. I'm gonna write handwritten letters with wax seal. And that's gonna be my amazing gift that I send someone that I love, because it's just like, dude, I'm not, and this is the beauty of this university, I said, that's predicated on truth and principle. Don't buy into this modern day bullshit. Don't buy into not giving effort. Don't be sorry for giving the wrong person your time, energy, effort, attention, quality of specificity in the detail that you put into a gift, into a letter, into a book that you send, to anything, into buying someone flowers. The modern world, dude, they're so lost. They're so lost. Because if you are just a guy today who wants to give flowers, like I said, or letters, or praise, or recognition, like guys 100 years ago used to write fucking poetry. You write a chick poetry today, bro. It's just, and maybe I'm just living in the wrong place, dude, but just any person, and this is actually anywhere in the West specifically, it's so unfortunate, dude, being in, because I see it in real time, dude. I see it in real time. And who's the casualty? The casualty are the good men. The casualty are the misguided, emotionally manipulated women. The casualty is just everyone. It's just everybody loses. Women don't get the guys that they want. Guys don't get the girls that they want. Women end up single and childless. And it's just like, it sucks. Anyway, receiving gifts. He was thinking of you. And I put communication as the cure-all in relationships, because that's a recurring theme of this book. And again, something that surprised me about this book that I wanted to share. And I went with no tie today. I don't know, I didn't want to dress it down, but this shirt is like super, super tight on me, just because I'm just so jacked and massive that if I go here, it's so hard to breathe that I was like, maybe we'll keep it more casual today. Even we're in a nice shirt, but still, but in terms of communication, the recurring theme of this book is a lack of ability to fucking communicate effectively with your partner. And it drove me bananas reading story after story after story where these people will be in these relationships where they just end up not talking and end up being in this divide and end up no longer feeling love for the other person because they give up, because they refuse to talk, they refuse to try to work it out. Communication in any relationship, it doesn't necessarily need to be romantic, in any relationship is the cure-all. And candor is the greatest gift you can give in a relationship. And I'm going to say this. We live in an emotionally weak generation of people who need everything watered down for them because it's too offensive, including the truth. I've said that before, and I will say that continuously, is when candor, honesty, and transparency is too much for the other person to swallow, you're just like, I've thought about this so many times. It's like, if you can't just be fucking honest, what are we talking about? If you don't have the courage to have a conversation, it's not let's get into an argument, it's let's fight for the betterment of each other, right? It's called an idea meritocracy. I learned this in the book Principles by Ray Dalio, that when you're in a business, the best idea wins, right? And Jordan Peterson, if we have a problem, dude, we're gonna hash it out now, period. Let's talk about it, let's fight it out. And then if you can't define what the problem is, that's not okay. I can't hit a target that you can't specify, that you can't define. And it's all the underlying notion of this this whole thing is a lack of communication, of cowardice, to not have the courage to communicate with your partner, the one person of all who you should feel the most comfortable and confident being yourself, being who you are, right? Telling them what makes you happy, telling them what would give you pleasure, telling them what you're not appreciating about their actions. It's very important. You don't make any demands from them. You make requests and offer guidance. The one thing and I learned this in a video, it was a woman describing alpha men. Alpha men love to please their partner. They hate being told what to do. And not to say I'm this alpha man, but when women I am a fucking alpha man compared to all these other dudes, when a woman gives me demands. I've had this even in the bedroom, where she'll demand things. I was like, no. I say, I'm not this fucking other cuck that you have here. You know, this other dude that you have on your, what's the chain that they put around their neck? I was in the Kit Kat Club in Germany, and GIMP is what they call it. I said, well, slow down. I said, I don't think you know who you're talking to. And it's very interesting. Again, it's what you tolerate. If you tolerate bullshit from your partner, if you tolerate disrespect, if you tolerate that you're going to allow them to make demands on you, and in your actions you cave to that, and then you adhere to their demands, bro. No. End of lesson. Like, you can't do that, because then you're setting the tone for the relationship that I will tolerate that bullshit. And it's so important. You're just like, and this is a good quote, it's in The Art of War. The Art of War. Art of the Deal, by Donald Trump. The Art of the Deal. If you aren't willing to walk away, you aren't in a position to negotiate. And most guys who are so beta in modern day, they're so feminine, they're so cuck. I'll use that word. Because they want to get laid, because they have no other options, they will do all of these dances. They will do all of this disrespect, toleration, in the hopes that I might get lucky. You as a man have to say, no, I'm not going to tolerate this bullshit. If you're going to do these games, I wish you all the best. Get the fuck out. Okay? It's so important that you as the man, the role model, the leader, set that precedent in your relationship, that you're not going to fucking tolerate someone who makes demands on you. Same with women. You don't tolerate someone who disrespects you. Period. What you tolerate is how you teach others how to treat you. Don't tolerate disrespect. You as a man, don't tolerate your woman making demands on you. It doesn't work. And in this book, they discuss the idea that if you're going to be in a relationship, dude, you give requests, you give guidance. There's a scene in the show Spartacus where the woman is telling Spartacus, before he's about to lay with this woman, she said, anticipate her desires and then fulfill them rigorously. You know, that's exactly it though, is gauge what your partner wants, what makes them happy, what would fill their love tank, and then fulfill that rigorously. Understand, the woman that you were dreaming to call your own, that you now take for fucking granted, was once a dream not too long ago, right? So it's going to take you getting that divorce, filing those papers, losing them, for hindsight to kick in and be like, damn, I wish I would have tried more. I wish I would have put in more effort. I wish I would have been a better husband, a better wife, a better lover, a better partner, whose purpose is to serve and honor the other. So, communication, the cure-all. Don't assume. Don't assume you know what their love language is, because you might say, oh yeah, I know what theirs is because I know what mine is. No, have them tell you. Okay? Have the courage to be honest with what you want, what's bothering you. I put today's K-bye generation and zero accountability. Oh my gosh. In terms of we live in an emotional weak generation because people need everything watered down for them, including the truth. I swear to Zeus, we live in an K-bye generation because of social media, because of access, because men tolerate bullshit from women. Because here's the deal. People wouldn't act a certain way if it was globally not tolerated, because of all these super thirsty dudes, so thirsty to get laid, that when a woman brings her bullshit to them, they'll validate her garbage. But if all men stood at the vanguard and said, no, we're not going to tolerate this behavior, then the behavior would dissipate. If we as a global community said, we're going to spit on you if you choose to celebrate an OnlyFans situation, then it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't exist today. But the fact that we're not only going to tolerate it, these fucking beta men are going to celebrate it, then it's going to thrive, let alone exist. It's going to thrive. And this degeneracy is going to continue. And so I put this K-bye generation of zero accountability, that when a person does stupid shit that you refuse to tolerate, and then you're a mirror to their actions. I've been blocked. I'll tell you the story. I sent a person a screenshot of their own action and then they blocked me a minute later. And I just said, and I put, the lack of accountability of young beautiful women today blows my mind. Men have complete accountability, because men know if they act a certain way, if they don't have their shit in order, then no one gives a fuck about you. And so the world has zero sympathy for men who have no account. Men have all accountability. Men have only ever known accountability. And Pearl, in the podcast that she runs, she said this herself, and it's so true. Women today have zero accountability. You have a get out of jail fucking free card for everything. You get pregnant, that's fine, I can just get an abortion. You get married, that's fine, I could just take half his shit. I can take the house, I can not sign the prenup, take the house, take full 100% custody of the kids, and then be incentivized to do that because now I'm getting child support and alimony. That's more than the cost of raising the kids. I know people today who are paying their person for longer than they were in the time that they were married, number one, and who are paying more. So I'm going to give you a scenario here. We're 100% at Ratlife University. I want to make that clear. There's a situation today where men are paying their woman, paying them more than the cost of raising their kids. They're paying them money to go on dates, to get fucked by another guy in their house. Imagine that. Imagine you're the guy, and you're paying child support and alimony to this woman who divorced you, to go on dates, to get fucked by another guy in your own home. I would rather burn that house to the fucking ground than let that shit happen. But again, the K-by generation of zero accountability, let's bring it back to it. I sent a person a screenshot of their own actions blocked. And it's just this ghosting generation, if you, as just a traditional masculine man, say, I'm not going to tolerate your garbage, your bullshit, dude, you will get those women who have never had accountability before. So just in terms of sharing this, be ready for that. Be ready to deal with women who have had zero accountability. There's a great movie with Jack Nicholson, and this woman was like, this is going to sound bad, but it's good. This woman was like, how do you write women so well? I guess he was an author of a book. And he said, I think of a man, and then I remove reason and accountability. I just said, it's so spot on. It's spot on. Because if you're a young woman today, you've never had accountability for shit. Because you can get pregnant, I can get an abortion. You can get married, I can get a divorce and be financially incentivized to do so. I can do something wrong. Ever ask a woman what happened in a car accident that you got into? The first thing they'll say, it wasn't my fault. And they'll have why it wasn't their fault. There's no accountability with women today because men don't hold them accountable. Because if more men held them accountable for their actions, then they would have accountability for their actions. But they just don't. Today's feminine males with zero courage of authority, and I said, or this is the deal. And it goes on that same precedent in terms of having the communication and discussing what you're willing and not willing to tolerate. That most men, they just lack the courage to demonstrate authority within the relationship because, like the Donald Trump, the art of the deal, because they're not willing to walk away, they have nothing to negotiate. And women know the guys who don't have options. Women know the guys who they can just do this garbage and the guy will tolerate it. So you as the man, you don't have, like I said, you don't have to do it in an abrasive way, in an arrogant way, in an angry way, but you set the tone, you set the precedent, you say this is the deal. Is if you want to do those things, that's fine, but I can't take you seriously, you know? And women typically, I'm speaking for myself, by their own actions, they will put themselves in a short-term or a long-term mating strategy category. Because again, if you do all this, I understand the biological reasons why women test the emotional control of men, the emotional stoicism of men. It's because women know subconsciously or consciously that the man's patience is going to be tested in the presence of children. So they have to do these stupid tests to make sure that the guy will keep us cool, will stay calm, stay poised, stoic. I understand that. But the women who purposefully, because I've been with these women in my unfortunate dealings in the past, women who are incredibly emotionally toxic, they'll do these stupid manipulations and games and get off on it. I've been with a woman who I called her out on her bullshit, and I thought I was looking at the devil. She looked at me with this smile across her face when I was detailing everything that I knew that she was doing. And I swear to God, she was getting off on it. And I just said, it was disgusting. And I said, it's literally a game to these fucking people. And this is, and it's not her, it's what she represents, and it's millions of women, is because of access, because of infinite options, these disgustingly manipulative snakes, these sirens, they will see what they can get away with, and they'll push it to the fucking brink. And so you, as a man in the society of feminine men, find the courage to say, this is what I will not tolerate. And you're going to find that the reason for the downfall of our society, it's not the women's fault. It's not the actions of the women are just a reflection of the precedent that the men are not willing to tolerate. Period. I'll say that again. The women in modern day world that we live in today is a reflection of what men tolerate. Period. Because if men chose to shame the behavior of the degeneracy that's being purported from these women, these OnlyFans girls, this garbage, if men wouldn't tolerate it, it wouldn't exist. Because men tolerate it, it exists. And so I don't put any blame, I don't harbor any animosity to women. I love women. It's men who need to be better. Story of failing marriage for years. A husband gives a rose and buys her favorite cookie, then a handwritten card of plants. And then the woman says, oh my gosh, I feel so loved. And because her love language was receiving gifts, right? And so that's the importance of speaking your partner's love language, to bring it back, is I didn't think there was going to be so much honesty in I thought that was in this lecture. I was feeling so good. I was like, I'm not angry, I'm still not, but all the things that I'm sharing, I feel like they're so important to share because everybody sees it. Everyone is a casualty of it on one end or the other, but no one has the courage to talk about it, to call a spade, to say, this is the bullshit that's happening today. But if we talk about it, if you can't discuss it, we can't change it. Do you understand? And that's why it's so important when people bring up their pronouns and shit like this, is if there's speech that you can't say, there's thoughts that you can't think. And so this is so important when you're observant of the world, when the news or any authority of the country that you live in begins to try to control your speech. If they can control your speech, they can control your thoughts. Because people don't think things and not say them. And so if I'm conditioned to not be able to say one thing, I won't even think it. And if I don't think it, I won't challenge it. Do you understand? It's manipulation at the highest level. It's mind control, literally. So when it comes to the idea of receiving gifts, and the reason that I wanted to bring up all of that in terms of compelled speech, I don't know, I lost my train of thought, but it's very important that you speak your partner's love language. And that's what I was saying. The reason that I wanted to reiterate all these things is I feel like it's so important because if we don't discuss it, we can't change it for the better. All right, we brought it back. And I think that's very important, that if we live in this world today and we're going to talk about the garbage that's going on and then be too much of a coward to discuss the garbage that we're seeing in real time, then it won't end. It won't change. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Did I skip it? Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. I didn't skip it. Weak men create hard times. We live in the weakest generation I've ever seen of men. And when I say that I've ever seen, it's because I'm a student. So I study my parents. I study my grandparents. I study great-grandparents. There was great men who made it easy times. And the easy times made it so there was no stress. Weak fucking men. And I don't just mean weak physically, which they are. I don't mean weak intellectually, which they are, very incompetent. I don't mean weak spiritually. In the absence of God, which they are, which encourages so much fucking arrogance that we see today, they're incredibly weak emotionally. The feminine, emotionally weak man who can't control his feelings, who can't harness his feelings, anger, frustration, depression, and use it to become an incredible man, right? They bitch, they moan, they be destroyed by it, and it's just, everyone's so fucking brittle. I see coworkers lose their shit over an email. An email is enough to hit their cortisol and go into freak out mode. And I'm just like, Jesus, Christopher Columbus, Christ. If you can't handle a fucking email, how have you survived this long? And so this world that we live of emotionally weak people is the result of these good times, which is the result of great men. And so unfortunately we're in this passage of time right now, this cycle, because it is cyclical, that because of these weak men, hard times are going to come, very hard times, because of the actions and the results of these weak men. Is that World War III? Is that this? I'm not sure, but it's going to come. It's going to happen. Probably in the course of this very university. You're going to see it. You're going to see the result, the consequence, the delayed effect from the actions of the weak men of today. And you're already seeing it. You're already seeing it. Because think about it. Promiscuity, if men didn't tolerate it, it wouldn't exist. Degeneracy and OnlyFans, if men didn't tolerate it, it wouldn't exist. Disrespect, publicly or privately, if men did not tolerate it, it wouldn't happen. It would not exist. But you're seeing the men become more emasculine, more emasculated, more feminine every fucking day. And if we don't stand at the vanguard of this, if we don't say enough, if we don't encourage men to be men again, this shit will continue. And then, like I said, dude, everybody loses. Everyone loses. Because a man can't feel like a man if he's disrespected. Men give more of a shit about disrespect than they do love. Men love to be respected by their woman and by their peers. That's all guys care about, is my name is synonymous with respect. And that starts with you showing that you respect yourself. You respect yourself with how you look, with how you show up, with how you dress, with how you speak, with how you interact with people. And it's in the omission of arrogance. It's in the omission of ego. It's in the omission of tolerating disrespect from anyone. And so begin to be better. I'm not trying to demonize or put down or expose women. Fuck that. Men, be better. Because if you were better, they would be better. Period. So, homework. Give a gift to someone in your garden. And that gift could be a beautiful handwritten letter with a wax seal. Learning the right love language is the key to making a person feel loved. It's very true. Also, theme of taking your partner for granted. We discussed that. Quit doing things like they quit doing things like plan dates, gifts, roses, all the shit that you did at the beginning of the relationship when you were courting them. But now that you have them, no effort. I had a story that one of my clients in the past told me. She said, you know what my husband told me that I love so much? He said, every day I'm still trying to earn your love. And I thought that was so beautiful. I'm still trying to win your love every day. Tony Robbins said this in a seminar. He said, if we treat the relationship like we did in the beginning, there wouldn't be an end. And for me, this is something that's always disheartened me. It's because I know I'm going to die, because I know how finite this life is. I know that how precious the time that I have with someone is. And this is exacerbated when you travel, is because you know that there's a good chance you're never going to see this person again. And so I take every second that I have with them and I cherish it. And even today, when you meet someone, dude, they could die tomorrow. And people don't fucking understand that. And so they start to take this life and the finite nature of it for granted, and they take the person that they have the privilege to be a part of their life for granted. And I made that a precedent when I said in the first university lecture, and then this is going to die once. Okay, so I said it in a prior university lecture. I said, it was actually, I think, the first episode. I said, I'm going to be the standard. I'm going to be the standard of men this year. And in everything that I do, in the time that I wake up in the morning, and the effort that I put into the gym, and the effort that I put in my relationships, I said, I'm going to be the fucking standard. Because I'm so sick of seeing these average men. To be anything above average takes no effort. It takes no effort to separate yourself from the effort that everybody else is putting out. Like the level of mediocrity that we live in is just, it's disgusting. It's ridiculous. Like it's really ridiculous when you see so many people where there's no standard. There's no one making it a precedent and a priority to take care of themselves on a physical level, on an intellectual level, because there's no requirement by society for you to improve, for you to better yourself. Then it's okay to be stagnant. But then you see all these people who, when you are stagnant, when you are complacent, there's no growth. And if there's no growth, then there's no happiness. And so that's why we live in a world of everyone who's constantly distracted, permanently distracted from the social media scrolling, the flooding of your dopamine. You're in this fog, you're in this numb, because now you're consuming garbage food as well. You're not taking care of your health. Your confidence is going less and less because you're not keeping promises that you make to yourself. It all compounds into a downward spiral. Your woman doesn't respect you anymore. You don't feel like a man. You're not having sexual intimacy with your partner. Everything is just going down, 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 and you call that a life. And so I said, I'm going to be the fucking standard. I'm going to invite time and true adage of masculinity, of just what it was 20 years ago to be a good guy, to be a good man, just effort in general, things that I don't feel like I should need to say, but I feel like I have to say, right? And little things in terms of the letters that I write people. When I was having my drug overdose upon moving into this apartment, do you know what I said? And I said this in a prior video. I said, if you knew you were going to die, you wouldn't wait another fucking day. You wouldn't wait a day to tell this person how you felt. You wouldn't wait another day to put an effort into that relationship. You wouldn't wait another fucking day because you understand how finite this life is. And I said, I'm going to be the standard, dude. I'm going to be the guy who writes those handwritten letters. And I'm trying to improve as much as I can. So now I'm doing the wax sealers. And I was like, I want to be that guy. I want the woman who I'm sending a letter to get that in the mail. From this, there was a good quote. It was so good. It said, I'm going to love you so much that any other person has to get to know me in order to truly get to know you. Like, I want to make that, I think indelible was the word, impact onto you by my effort, by the love that I give. And I said, that's who I'm going to be, dude. I'm going to be the person who is the standard. When you look at this person's physique and you look at your person's physique, when you look at this person's income one day and you look at that person's income, when you look at this, I said, I want to constantly be that light for other people to follow by being the standard and the standard that I set within my own actions, within how I hold and the standard that I hold for myself. It needs to be as high as possible. So the ripple effect will be, you'll be a better husband, you'll be a better boyfriend, you'll be a better brother, you'll be a better son, you'll be a better coworker, you'll be a better student, you'll be a better son of God. All of these things, man. Like, if you just focus on improving yourself, everyone wins around you. Learning the right love language is the key to making a person feel loved. Yes. We talked about this. And then if you treat them like you did in the beginning, there won't be an end. People forget not long ago you would have done anything to win their affection. And now you have it. What was once a dream. Show some fucking effort, gratitude, appreciation, and presence. A gift a week. My love tank is full, overflowing. Problem, behavior change from your courtship. Yep. Unfortunate reality, courting today conflated with simping. Yep. Love must be, a lot of these things I covered. So I'm just reading. I'm making sure we get through all of it. I don't care how long this video is. And it's not that I can't talk. I was thinking about this prior to filming. I was like, I can talk for an hour straight. It's no problem. But everything that I took in my reflection and notes from the reading, I want to give to you. So if it's unfortunate that I'm, reading off this for me to give you that value, and it's like, just because I don't have it memorized, then so be it. But to that same token, if it's repeated, you'll know why. Love must be freely given, never demanded. We discussed that. We can make requests, give direction, but demands stop the flow. Actionable. Make a list of 3 to 4 things that if your partner did them would make you feel loved. What a concept. Acts of service, for example. It's important to note, do things they don't care about and you won't add a drop to their love tank. That's incredibly important to note. The importance of communication. Like I said, dude, communication is secure. Like, if you're speaking Chinese to them, I won't say it again, it's not going to resonate. They're not going to feel it. They're not going to feel any love, right? If you're speaking acts of service and you're doing all that shit and they just want 15 minutes of your time, doesn't matter how many things you do for them, they're going to feel like he doesn't love me. And I thought it was ridiculous too when I read it. When the woman said, I just don't feel like he loves me at all. I just said, are you serious? Are you kidding me? There's no gratitude in any of the effort that he's doing. But then I understand now that it's just because it's not their language. That they just didn't, they're just speaking Chinese. And I only speak American. Sorry. Love, a standard. If you truly love yourself, you take care of yourself in all ways, 100%. If you truly love your partner, you should hold them to a higher standard than anyone else, 100%. Belief in potential, the greatest expression of love. So when you know they're operating at less, you don't let them slack, wallow, have self-pity. You pick them up, carry them, breathe belief back into them until they believe in themselves again and they show up correct. So important. I'm not going to say that again, but it's so fucking important. If you love someone, you hold them to a standard. If I don't give a shit about you, then I don't care how you act. I don't care about your behavior. But if I love you, I don't tolerate that bullshit, because it's the idea you're better than that. So important. But again, it's from what you tolerate. Tolerate excellence within the effort that your partner's putting into the relationship, and you'll get that from them. If it's met with bitterness or resentment at the start, so fucking be it. But it's like, dude, if you're going to be on the team, we're both going to be giving it our all. Why that's a foreign concept, dude, blows my mind. Physical touch. You're only limited by your imagination on ways to express love. And then I put, it's so good. There was a video of this 80-year-old something, and she married for, I don't know, 50, 60 years. What's the secret in the interview? What's the secret to a long-lasting marriage? And she's like, I'll try anything once. So have the courage to try anything once if your love language is physical touch. Okay, so ignoring your partner's love language is like ignoring, oh, this is so good. It's a quote from the book, that's why I wrote it down. Ignoring your partner's love language is like ignoring the needs of a garden. If we don't weed, water, or fertilize, it will die a slow death. Your primary love language is typically what that's a different thing. So ignoring your partner's love language, dude, it's the equivalent of neglecting your garden, right? And what's the result of that? If you don't water it, if you don't nourish it, if you don't give it sunshine, your garden is going to die. Your marriage is going to lose. You're going to end in a divorce. Custody of the kid's gone, prenup not signed, house lost, another guy fucking your wife in your own home. How do we avoid that? We water our garden. We stand guardway at the doorway of our mind. We stand guardway at the entrance to my lovely garden. We water, we nourish, we communicate, we request, we give guidance. We have those hard conversations we don't want to have. We have communication, we have courage, right? We sit down, we say, listen. We don't do what my coworker did and say, I don't want to receive this book because it's from a male coworker. When I want to fucking make my relationship better, that might end with me losing this person because I don't have the courage to have a fucking conversation or to bring this book home and discuss that I want to improve our marriage. You fucking kidding me? The garden, guys. Water the garden. Your primary love language is typically what you've requested from your partner. Typically, but not always. So, and the other insight is chances are you are doing for them what you wish they did for you. And I said yes and no, because my lowest one, I did the test. My lowest one is gifts. I don't care about gifts, but I love to send people who I love a handwritten letter with a gift. Like especially if they don't live here, especially if they're out of country or out of state. I love doing that. But that doesn't really do anything for me if they give me something. Because for me, my love language, like I said, word of affirmation, quality time. For a woman to say, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate what you did there. I really respect you. Those things have much more weight than, particularly if it's bought. If somebody buys me something, I don't give a shit. There's no emotional anything for me. I'm just like, nothing. Chinese, you know. But if your love language was receiving gifts and somebody buys you gifts, you're like, oh my gosh, this person loves me. So what's interesting is when you meet someone whose love language is the same as yours, there's like that instant, fireworks. So perhaps when I was in Brazil, it was quality. Both of us was quality time, and both of us was quality, conversation. Who knows? But in terms of chances are what you're doing for them is what you wish they would do for you. It's very true. It can be very true. So what do you do or say to express your love to a spouse? If you don't know what your love language is, that's a good exercise. You may discover your own by asking, how do I consciously express my love to them? Because from the law of reciprocity, subconsciously you hope that they'll reciprocate. And don't get me wrong, like if somebody writes me a handwritten letter, I love that, because what does it say? It's all in what it says, like what a gift says, like I discussed. It says, I was thinking about you when you were not in the room. Right? And a gift says that too, in terms of an actual gift. When I was in the store, this made me think about you. But why a handwritten anything means more than me than a store-bought anything is if a woman makes me cookies or something, it's I took the time out of my day to do something that I knew would make you happy, right? I was thinking about you. You're important, and it's all from the human need of significance, which is super important that I share. Significance is the number one human need. Significance means I matter. I'm important. Someone gives a fuck about me. People crave significance. They'll do anything for a sense of significance. They'll get 30 piercings. They'll get 100 tattoos. They'll change their hair. They'll shout. They'll do all these dances for fucking TikTok. They'll do all this stupid shit just for someone to notice them, to acknowledge their existence, to validate that their existence matters at all, right? So it's very important that when you're understanding the other person's love language and why something weighs so much more, it's in the translation of what it says. If somebody gives me something that took them hours to make, I'm just like, this happened at work. Somebody took an hour to make this. My favorite thing is a capybara, and they made a capybara light thing that I could wrap around my little cubicle. And it put the biggest smile on my face, because what did it say? They know I love capybaras, and so they know, and they put time and effort to make me something that's, very simple, not super expensive, time consuming. I was thinking about you. I think this would make you happy. Oh my gosh, I love it. So it's just important. Homework, find out what yours and what your partner's primary love language is. And in this book, it's really good, and I wrote it out, giving you the gold. 3 ways to discover your own primary love language. What does your spouse do or fail to do that hurts you the most deeply? What do they fail to do? If you're a man and you never feel like they're appreciated, you're appreciated. There's probably words of affirmation. They're probably not giving you any. And so it hurts when they insult you. It hurts when they disrespect you. It hurts. If that's like a dagger to you, words of affirmation is probably yours. It's the opposite of what hurts you is probably your love language. What have you most often requested of your spouse? The thing you have most often requested is likely the thing that would make you feel most loved. In what way do you regularly express love to your spouse? Your method of expressing love may be an indication that that would also make you feel loved. Very important. It may be challenging if your love tank has been full or if it's been empty for a very long time to know what your love language is. For example, if it's full and they do all these different things, you're just like, I don't know, because I'm full of love, but they do a little bit of everything, and so I have no idea what thing in particular it is because I'm always full. And then if it's empty, and I've had this before, where it's like, it's gonna sound sad, but it's like when it's been so long since you've been appreciated or since you felt loved, you're like, I don't remember what it feels like. I can't remember what it feels like to be loved. Very true. And so I'll just be honest, like I've totally been in that state. It may be challenging for you to feel if it's been a long time. And so the great question thought is those same things, is what do I like about that person? What do they say or do that makes me desire to be with them? Oh, these are good questions to ask yourself if your love tank has been filled for a long time or if it's been empty for a long time, for you to discern what yours might be. Just simple questions. What did I like about that person? What did she do/say that made me desire to be with them? What would be an ideal spouse to me, which is really good, that we'll get into. If I could have the perfect mate, what would she be like? Should give you a good picture of your love language. And they discuss this in the books, and I loved it so much because it made me think of my ideal. And my ideal is the 1950s. My ideal is literally a 1950s housewife. I'm looking for a woman who just, her aspirations to be a great wife and a great mother. And then I can be the great provider for us. And I can be excellent in my job and duties and roles, responsibility. And she can be happy and loving and thriving in hers. And it's like, I'll do whatever stress, I'll do whatever sacrifice in order to live in that beautiful harmony. But like my fantasy of coming home to an apron, dress and a pie being baked, I just fucking love that. I love that idea so much, but that's not going to resonate with a modern person watching this who they aspire to pursue their career, do any of that shit. And it's like, I want a woman who aspires to be a great mother, who aspires to raise beautiful children. And so my children are programmed when they go into school by the government who controls the curriculum of that school. I have no interest to do that. I have no interest to buy into the modern day bullshit. So I'm looking for someone whose goal is to be a great wife, is to be a great mother. Anything else I don't give a shit about, I don't entertain. And so it's very interesting because one of the stories is they were in a marriage counseling, and the guy and the woman, they were discussing, what he was. The guy was like, I don't know what mine is. And then the Dr. Gary Chapman, he said, well, what would be your ideal wife? And he was like, I come home from work and dinner's cooked. And then she started fuming. She was like, I thought you loved making dinner. And he's like, I don't mind it. But he said, if I could have my ideal wife. And I loved and respected that so much, because it's like, that's not a problem. And I've had so many women in my adolescence say, you're never going to find that, you're never going to find that. I said, shut the fuck up and get the fuck away from me. There are women perfectly capable, perfectly aspiring to be great wives and to be great mothers. They're just not you, right? And the women who have this resentment toward femininity, who have this resentment towards being a housewife as something to aspire to be to, it's just, those are the lost ones. Those are the ones who I'd have no interest to be a part of what I'm doing, of where I'm going. Or the ones who want to pursue their career, that's fine. You go do that. Go pursue your career. Go be with a dude who wants a woman who pursues her career. I want a housewife. I want a great mother. That's it. And when you see women today who are the epitome of what you don't want in a mother, what you don't want in a wife. It's just, again, it's what you tolerate. So it's your life. You have one to live. Do what makes you happy and what you want. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want a hyper masculine woman. I don't want a career driven pursuit woman. Zero interest, right? And so that was what I loved about that story, where the guy was like, I would love to come home to a home cooked meal and then a compliment once a fucking year. Like, words of affirmation and acts of service was his. So I'm bringing it back, so it's not like this person's sexist or misogynist or any of this bullshit. Is if your love language is acts of service or words of affirmation or quality time, that's what you want in your partner, have the courage to communicate that, you know. So, but yeah, dude, the modern day, man, is actionables. Write down what you think your primary love language is. List the other 4 in order of importance. Write down your partner's or what you think theirs is. Can also do the list where you rank the other 4. So they might have one that's tied, they're bilingual, and then they might have 3, 4, 5. It's important to do all of them because it's important not to neglect anything, but to focus and prioritize filling their love tank by focusing on what their primary love language is. Discuss and share. Have communication. What a concept. And then I put this, it's very important because I learned this from my job that I have now. It's because we live in a very emotionally weak world where people get offended by candor. You have to go in, sort of tiptoe into the water. And an effective exercise, I'll give it to them from my coworkers, they said, I appreciate, I learn, I wonder. And little prompts in terms of opening up discussion for constructive criticism. So I appreciate how you, and then you're very specific, I learned that your primary love language is this. I wonder if I could be a more effective lover, partner by doing this. But you can also reverse it in terms of requests or guidance for your partner. I really appreciate you doing this for me, acknowledging their actions, acknowledging their effort. I learned that you think from what I'm understanding, you think my primary love language is X, Y, and Z. I wonder if, now that you know what my primary love language is, if you could try to put in more effort to do this, it would really fill my love tank. So I appreciate, I learn, I wonder. Again, if you're having trouble having candor or communication with your partner, then those might be some effective exercises for you, okay? Remember, guidance, requests, not demands. You'll often find people want to please their partner, and I can speak to this. And guys can speak to this to their women. Dude, we want to please you. I've dated women who they think men are mind readers, and I've actually, oh my God, the same woman who told me the gift things, like I think you give gifts because you feel like you're undeserving of love, was when I wanted her to tell me how she felt about something, and then because I couldn't read her mind, and then she was like, no, it's okay, you're just the kind of person who needs things told to him. And I said, I just said, are you fucking stupid? I said, yes, I'm the kind of person that if something's bothering you, I can't fucking guess because I'm not a fucking mind reader, you goon! But yeah, dude, you'll often find people want to please their partner. They want to fill your love tank, but if you don't fucking tell them what's wrong, how can they? Fucking people, dude. Do a weekly tank check is what they recommend. Just like you would go and fill up your gas with gasoline, your car with gas. What if you filled your love tank with some love? What, you know? And the way he does it is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how full is your love tank right now? If it is anything less than 10, what can I do to fill it? Do you see how all the exercises in this lecture today are effort and are actions, courage, communication, the hard conversations? They're all things for you to do. You, not somebody else. Not, you do this, you do this. It's personal accountability. It's personal agency. It's focusing on what can I do? What can I improve? How can I be a better partner, a better husband, a better lover? Not them. If you're better, if you raise your standard, you make them better. You improve your relationship. The team is now winning. Who's gonna carry the boat, son? Who's gonna carry him? You gotta fucking carry the boat. Okay. Communication gall. I wrote it. Your request will often reflect yours. So if you're requesting this, often that's your love language. Just take note of that. Suggest and fulfill rigorously. Next. Love is a choice. I've been in love one time by a woman, and then I knew that I was in love for the first time ever because I knew that to continue to love this person took a lot of effort. It became an active choice. It was no longer effortless. And so I learned that from anyone who I know who's in marriages for 20, 40 years. And they're amazing people to study. And they all agree that number one, love is not enough. And then number two, love is a choice. And because when the love facade veil subsides, which in the book they discuss, it's about 2 years, then you see them for all their flaws, all their shortcomings. There's some things you're very not attracted about them. Not to say that there's anyone else in the world that you would rather be with but them, but you have to choose to continue to love them. You have to choose to put in effort. You have to choose to row. You have to choose to show up. You have to choose to say, I want to improve this. It's a choice. Love is a choice. You can still choose, this is a quote from the book, very good quote. You can still choose to actively express love in your person, in their primary love language, amidst hurt, anger, disappointment, and resentment. What a concept. And they bring up the idea of Jesus in this, in terms of, it doesn't mean anything if you love someone who loves you. So what does that say? But to love your enemy, now that's something. To love someone if you have hate towards them, if you're anger towards them. You know, forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves. It's not something you give to someone else. I forgive you. It's a gift I'm giving to myself for their mistake. So when it comes to loving your partner, loving your boyfriend, loving your girlfriend in this fucking world that we live in where there's no effort. And when I say this, let's talk about this. I'll make this point now. That in this world of greener grass, nobody tries anymore. I had a client once, I shared this in a prior lecture, that whatever happened to you for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, till death do us part. Nobody tries anymore because we constantly cycle through the honeymoon phase. We'll go through the 2 years. I love everything about this person. This person could do me no wrong, no flaws, no anything. They're just the best. And then when you fall out of love, and love becomes now a choice, and now I have to put in efforts onto the next. And they go through that cycle until they hit the wall. So it's very important that you can challenge yourself to continue to speak in their primary love language, even if you're not stoked about them in the moment. Wow. Concept of gratitude and appreciation. Even though I hate you, I'm still gonna bake you some fucking cookies because I know that's your love language. I'm still gonna spend quality time with you. And what's interesting is, because they bring this up in the topic, that if you don't love a person, women will feel used by them when they put out and have sex with them because they don't feel any love for them. And love and sex, they're emotionally driven. So when women have emotionless sex, they feel like they've just been used by their partner. And so it's very important that you make the effort to fill the person's love tank, to have your love tank being filled, so that doesn't happen. So that when you're expressing love through sex, which is so cool, I learned in the book Man's Search for Meaning. And the reason that I say it's so cool is because I've never slept with someone that I was mutually in love with. And so this idea is a lost concept to me, where he said, sex is the natural expression of the natural physical expression of love. And then I was just like, oh. And I know that's going to sound terrible, like saying that in this video, but it's like, when you live in this modern world where promiscuity and all these things are not only encouraged and tolerated, but celebrated, is that ideology was not something I was ever taught. That sex isn't just when you're attracted to someone and you want to be close to them and intimate with them. That is the greatest, the peak pinnacle expression of your love towards them. And it's just the natural byproduct when you're absolutely head over heels infatuated in love with that person. And so I love that idea that when that goes to the wayside, when love now becomes a choice, when you no longer feel loved by that person, then the woman will feel used by that person when they're still being required, demanded from their partner to have sex with them when they no longer love them. And so that's the importance of this, like, because those same women will feel like literally like they're just like a piece of meat. So if you don't want to feel that way, then take your relationship, filling the love tank, ever so seriously. Modern dating, in love phase, one that dissipates onto the next. It's the truth, man. In this world of infinite options of greener grass, no one tries anymore. If you're in an argument, if you're in this person doesn't like this like, they like red and I like blue, then they'll go to the next and they'll go to the next. Why bother struggling and going through pain here because I don't want to grow together like they used to do when marriages lasted for 50 fucking years. Don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to go through the honeymoon phase, and then when it starts to get hard, then I want to go to the next honeymoon phase and hop from there's a song, I'm gonna hop from dick to dick. Like, you're just gonna, bounce from hot dog to hot dog until nobody wants that car with so many miles. Do you know what I'm saying? It's gonna sound hard to hear, but dude, it is the truth, man. It's no one wants a woman who's been incredibly promiscuous, who slept with a ton of guys. Nobody wants to say I'm so proud of my wife, the whore. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, no guy wants to do that. No guy wants to be with a woman who is so unable to bond pair because they have no emotional attachment now to sex. And so it's very, very important, dude, when the love phase dissipates, that you work it out. Because I learned this, and this was the reason that the one woman who I fell for, why I tried so hard with this person, was because I had never met a woman with her heart. And there was a video that I saw, and he said, if you find someone with a great heart, greater than you will ever find, don't let go of them, because you will never find better. Even if it's hard, even if it takes years, work it out, work through it, work on it, because you're not gonna find better, dude. And in this FOMO world that we live in, nobody tries anymore. Nobody puts in that kind of effort, because people think that there's better, when there's not. So it's very important that when the love dissipates, the in-love infatuation, that when that veil comes down and love now becomes an active choice, that you constantly choose to love them, choose to put in effort, choose to remember all the things you would have done for them in the courting process. Reciprocity. It's a long one, man. This is a long lecture, but we're almost done. Last 2 pages, guys. Reciprocity. Give and it will be given unto you. Cut your ego. So there's a woman here. How do I repair my marriage? Because this guy, he doesn't love me. I don't feel any love towards him, but I really want my marriage to work. And Dr. Gary Chapman, he recommends that, listen, even if it's not reciprocated, I just want you to, tell him, I'm going to be a better wife. And I love this so much. It was like, I wish more women were like this. And she came she said, I'm going to be a better wife. I'm going to try my best to be better in every regard. And I actually gave to the same coworker who felt uncomfortable me giving her this book. I remember one of the first weeks of me being hired, I told her when she was sharing her marital problems, I said, instead of nagging your partner, instead of publicly disrespecting him as you do, instead of emasculating him in all these ways and showing him all these disrespect, why don't you give him 100% submission for the next month? And she, because of ego, because of all this, she couldn't do it. And I said, why? Ego. And I said, if you were to cut your ego aside and just do what this woman did, I'm gonna focus on being the best possible wife I ever could be. I'm not gonna nag you, I'm not gonna put you down, I'm not gonna criticize you, I'm not gonna do any of this bullshit, but I'm gonna be as great of a partner as I can. I'm gonna give as much as I can. I'm gonna do everything that I possibly could. And then what he recommends, Dr. Gary Chapman, is that I'm gonna ask for feedback on how I can improve. And then I'm gonna keep taking that, I'm gonna plan, execute, iterate. Plan, execute, iterate. So I'm gonna do, give me some feedback, constructive criticism, the candor, I'm gonna improve, and then I'm gonna be even better. Do you know what happens as a consequence of that? From the law of reciprocity, your partner wants to be better to you. Very hard to do when that's been gone for so long. And the idea that of me to my female coworker, of submitting to your partner, the reason that it's so hard for her is because she didn't respect him. Women cannot submit to a man they don't respect. It's the truth. So if you want that submission, which is just a natural consequence from a woman who respects you, then again, it's up to the guy, man, to be worthy of respect. And this is the underlying issue with her relationship, is he didn't have the frame set up because he tolerates her disrespect. And that's the bigger issue. It's not that she would refuse to submit to him, to try to be a better wife, to try to save the marriage. It's she's with someone who there's at some level doesn't love, doesn't respect. And so that's the issue, because he tolerates that. It's the man's fault, not hers. So it's very important that you as a man do not tolerate disrespect from your partner. And that is the beginning to earn the respect of your partner. So cut your ego in terms of, I'm just going to give, I'm going to try to be better. And I say this to wife, but I'm going to be a better husband. I'm going to be a better boyfriend. Same thing. Make effort cool again, I put. Don't quit effort because it's done unto those who don't appreciate it. When I write people handwritten letters or I give them these beautiful gifts that take hours of time and thought and it's not reciprocated, I'm not going to apologize for being the person that I am just because it's fell on someone who doesn't appreciate it or want to reciprocate it. And that's so important today in the modern world that we live in, that you don't apologize for being a good person to someone who doesn't appreciate it. And this is the biggest casualty. Don't stop being a good person just because you're watering dead plants, right? Because, and this is at least a notion that's given me solace, is one day you're going to find the woman, you're going to find the partner who's been dreaming to receive the love that you've been misplacing. And I love that idea so much. Like there's someone out there dreaming to get handwritten letters, dreaming to have a partner who's going to not tolerate bullshit, dreaming to have that leader, to have that someone who takes ownership and responsibility for their life, dreaming, dude, for someone who shows up, who has the courage to communicate, who makes me feel so comfortable and confident being myself, comfortable, secure, safe to be open and honest with who I am, with what I want, with what makes me happy. Someone dreaming out there. So don't let these women of the streets, or for you women, don't let these shitty guys who are putting this half-assed effort, don't tolerate that shit. And don't be disheartened thinking that great guys don't exist. And for guys watching this, don't think great women don't exist, because they do. Because I've had many experiences with the most incredible fucking women. Golden. And so what's unfortunate is when you have such a history of shitty people, shitty partners, you forget, and this is actually I'm so glad I remember this, is when you are dealing with people for so long who make you feel so hard to love, you know what's so refreshing? When you meet someone who makes you feel so effortless to love, who makes you feel so comfortable in your own skin, who makes you feel so confident as a man. You're just like, wait, nothing was wrong with me. And all the insecurity and all the self-consciousness and all the second guessing, it's just like, I was just watering the wrong person. I just had the wrong prospect. I'm not the wrong product. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I know, and I've had this, I speak for me personally, dude. I forget that what an incredible person I am when all of my effort is misplaced on people who don't appreciate it. And I continue to water the dead plants. And I continue to try to be in a give and take relationship where all I do is give and all they do is take. And then what's the natural byproduct of that? My self-image, self-respect, self-love goes down. My need for validation, approval, recognition from this person goes up. And so it's a lose-lose. But then you find somebody who makes you feel fucking effortless to love, and you're just like, it's so refreshing because you're just like, oh my gosh, I forgot that that I'm not hard to love. And that simple idea, I forgot that I'm not hard to love. I've just been choosing to surround myself with people who make me feel hard to love. Do you get it? So, like I said, you'll find someone one day who's been dreaming to receive the love that you've been misplacing. Make specific requests to your partner for your language. When they do that act, your tank will get filled, and you'll know they're choosing to put in the effort. Don't be vague, very important. Don't nag or demand. So the importance of not being vague is, I can't hit a target that you can't define. So if you're like, I want more time. No. Tell me an amount. I want you to spend an hour of uninterrupted time with me today. Or I want you to be very specific, don't be vague. My love language is physical touch. And you grab them by the throat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've been with people who are into that. But anyway, don't be vague, don't act your demand. Focus on being a better wife, husband, partner first. Cut your fucking ego, man. I'd like to do a better job at meeting your needs. Ask for suggestions, execute, ask for feedback, iterate, and then execute again. And we come to the last page of Ratlife University Lecture 6. The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. Page 163. I wrote it, I said read it, and so we're going to read the entire page. I don't like to do this a lot, but if I wrote it, it means it's gold, and I wanted to give it to you. If your marriage is in the serious trouble discussed in this chapter, you need to begin by making a strong commitment of the will to undertake the following experiment. You risk further pain and rejection, but also stand to regain a healthy and fulfilling marriage. Count the cost. It's worth the attempt. Number 1, ask how you can be a better spouse. And regardless of the other's attitude, act on whatever he or she tells you. Continue to both seek more input and comply with those wishes with all your heart and will. Assure your spouse that your motives are pure. Number 2, when you receive positive feedback, you know there is progress. Each month, make one non-threatening but specific request that is easy for your spouse. Make sure it relates to your primary love language, and it will help replenish your empty tank. When your spouse responds and meets your need, you will be able to react with not only your will, but your emotions as well. Without overreacting, continue positive feedback and affirmation of your spouse at these times. Last one, number 4. As your marriage begins to truly heal and grow deeper, make sure you don't rest on your laurels and forget your spouse's love language and daily needs. You're on the road to your dreams, so stay there. Put appointments into your schedule to assess together how you're doing. And so it's so important. When the emotional need for love is met, it creates a climate where the couple can deal with the rest of life in a much more productive manner. Think about it. If you feel so loved and so secure in the love from your partner, dude, you feel like you're on cloud 9. As a man, you feel so confident. You feel so confident in yourself, confident in your ability. You have that quote, she makes me feel like $1 million, that I could conquer the fucking world. And then, because you believe that you can, you end up doing. I've said this to friends, and it's so true. There's never been a great man without a great woman, ever. No guy has ever achieved his potential in the absence of an incredible woman. A woman can 10x, 100x, 1000x your income, your life, your everything. The right woman can make you feel so confident. And it's not to say that you don't have your own internal, intrinsic confidence or potential or ability, but the woman who loves you will breathe in confidence in your potential, so much so that you will feel so confident in realizing it. And it goes both ways. Great woman, never in the absence of not having a great partner, not having a great man, because that is the twin flame. That's the ultimate pinnacle of an unstoppable force. Is a woman who makes a man feel like he could conquer the fucking world. A guy who makes the woman feel like she's the best thing to ever happen in life. And so what does that come down to? It comes down to being a better you. It comes down to asking questions, how can I be better? How can I improve? What effort can I put in? How can I hold myself to a higher standard? And then in turn, how can I hold my woman, my husband, to a higher standard? How can I focus on not tolerating disrespect, not tolerating mediocrity, not tolerating half-assed effort, not tolerating cowardice in the absence of candor and having the crucial conversations that I know we need to keep this relationship not just alive, but to thrive. So with that, full emotional love tanks, as we as individuals and as couples only, then can accomplish our true potential with those full emotional love tanks. He could live for a whole day from one positive comment from her. And I put, wow. When the guy's thing is word of affirmation and you say one thing that breathes into his confidence in himself as a man, you'll see him light up, man. So the summary is, how do you and your partner most often express love to each other? What do they and you complain about most often? What do they request most often? Your answer to what your primary love language is, what would fill your cup, lies there. You can also test a different one each week. For example, if your love tank's been full or if it's been empty for a very long time, you can do a different one each week to gauge which one makes you feel the most alive. And it said, gauge your partner's response, discover what makes them light up the most. That most likely is their primary love language. And with that, we come to an end of Ratlife University, lecture number 6, the 5 love languages. I've taken you on for a ride. We've talked about modern dating. We've talked about the folly of the non-masculine modern day feminine man. And what does it come down to? What is the summary of this entire lecture? What you tolerate is how you teach others how to treat you. If you tolerate disrespect, you're teaching and conditioning them that that shit is okay. If you tolerate people not having the courage to have candor and honest, transparent, open communication, you're creating an environment where you're going to allow weeds to come into your garden. You're going to allow the dissipation of your marriage, the breakdown of your relationship. And so have the courage to have communication. Hey, I really want to improve our relationship. I feel like we're going this way, we're growing apart, and I want to make sure that we're both rowing, we're both in the same direction. I have one life. I love you so much. I want to give you the fucking world. I want to make you feel ecstatic, euphoric, sensational. How can I improve? How can I be better? And then be fucking better. The lack of effort in this world that we live in today, man, is just unfortunate, because who's the casualty? You as a man, her as a woman, right? So those are my honest thoughts. That is book number 6. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you take something from this. I hope you read this book and do the love language profile. My number 1, in case you want to know, Phil Tark's cup, is word of affirmation. And word of affirmation for me holds less weight if I don't have an infatuation towards someone. It just becomes a hollow thing. And you'll find that if you constantly give word of affirmation, specific praise and recognition to others, you don't really need it for yourself. Like when somebody tells you you're doing awesome, you are so awesome, you're just like, oh, that's cool. So, but for men who have a history of being unappreciated, and this is it's a soliloquy for almost all men, then you giving them one compliment, I could live off of that for a day, right? They'll remember that for a year. I compliment a guy's calves at the gym, bro. He looks at me like I'm his lover. Like he looks, It's a word of affirmation, super huge. If yours is physical touch, get on it, be creative, try anything once. Quality time with the dialect of quality conversation, it's euphoric, it's ecstasy, and it's ecstasy to me because you understand that this life is finite, your time is your most valuable resource, you're giving up your life, a part of your life for them. Cool gifts. I'm speaking for me personally, I don't give a shit if you give me a gift, but the thought, care, consideration of a thoughtful and handmade and time-consuming and capybara, induced gift, chocolate chip cookies. When I worked at Target when I was an undergrad with my girlfriend at the time, she came into my work with a plate full of cookies, and I almost said I love you. We were just started dating, and she came with a plate of chocolate chip cookies to my work, and I said, I was like, I had to catch myself. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So what do we have? Words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, receiving gifts, acts of service is the last one. And understand that if their love language is something different from yours and you do all of these acts of service, but there's this quality time, then they will feel, and this woman did in her 20 plus year marriage, I just don't feel like he loves me. That's the importance of you speaking your primary love language. And with that, we're all going to make it. Ratlife University, Lecture 6, the 5 love languages. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time.